Hey, folks. Again, it's good to see you for the Lockdown Leverage series of the Networking Retreat video show and audio show and everything. And I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine, someone who I met on Facebook about 4 years ago, very local to me in Witney, and someone who's changed my life actually. Because if I hadn't met Adam, who I'm going to bring on screen in a minute, I wouldn't have met Sharon, my partner. Adam runs Verve Virtue Hairdressing in Witney, and obviously had to shut down during lockdown. Still shut down at the moment, and I've been really impressed with what Adam's done to keep in touch with people over this period, which was actually the inspiration for me doing the whole of this series, which I don't think I've told Adam. So, hello, mate. How you
Hey,
doing?
yeah, good. You're right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm still stupidly impressed with this technology that I can do stupid things like that. And on every episode of the video series, I've got a different version of screen going on. But what I wanted to do was show off your salon because you've actually come into Whitney into the salon to do this afternoon.
Yeah, the Cotswold Stone gives it some good acoustics. So I thought, I'm paying for the rent, so I might as well use it.
And so, how long have you actually been trading, and how long out of that have you actually been shut down now because of lockdown?
Yeah, so I celebrated 4 years in January. Obviously, we're closed for the celebrations, but yeah, four years January, and I think we've been shut down for about 6 months last year. March to July, a week in November, and then obviously from Christmas Eve to pretty much now, which is looking like going to be the 12th of April, which could be extended, but yeah, crazy times.
So you were before that you were an employed hairdresser working for other people, weren't you? Before you set up your own business.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I worked for just under 10 years for a Oxfordshire chain of salons. Between a few different salons over the years, and but whilst working for that company, you get to meet different people, and thought I'd go alone.
And since what I do know is that since you set up in Corn Street, the growth was pretty spectacular. You went from just you to you and one other who I've got to know pretty well to you and several others now. And from a standing start with an empty diary to, as I understand it, a completely full book of customers now for all of you.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously we're going to be talking about share weighting in a moment, but the times when I sat down in here, it's quite nice to be back on my own. But when I sat here on my own, I would be a friend of yours, Chris Ma. I remember watching some of his videos, obviously some of your videos and stuff. Whilst when obviously we first met, and use that time wisely to learn social media and maybe a little bit of business acumen, which then obviously when I did get busy, I could use them skills to progress the business when I employ people. Obviously, yeah, it's gone from just myself to me and obviously three others. Obviously, Sharon's left company, which is sad, but onwards and upwards. And from week, let's say month one, doing 30 clients to just before lockdown, we're doing just shy of 300 a month. So yeah, big rise, but it's definitely stalled now.
And I know we were talking. We've talked about this before, and then we were talking about it just before I pressed the record button. Your challenge when you open up again isn't going to be that you need to market yourself again. Your challenge is going to be that you've got literally a queue of people or a virtual queue of people waiting to beat down your door as soon as you open the doors again. So it's a slightly different challenge to other businesses. And the thing that I've just worked out in my head whilst we've been talking then is that you've been shut through no fault of your own as a really successful business for about 25% of the actual entire history of Verve and Virtue. So that's
I've never thought of it like that. Yeah,
no,
it's a long
sorry,
time.
I've probably ruined your day now. But I mean, that must be galling in a way for something that you've built up through no fault of your own to, as with every hairdresser now is just completely shut.
Yeah, I think, you could say 3 years fully open and then obviously shut for 25% of the history. But, I read a lot about the 3-year burnout and, in terms of business strategies, and most people do a good stint for 3 years. Maybe this could be my pause, and then, I can crack on with another 3 years of growth, which would be great. But yeah, I think it's time to reflect on, what you've achieved and where you want to go as well.
And what inspired me, because as you know, I wrote an article on LinkedIn a few weeks ago now, probably a month or so ago, which was inspired by something that you're doing, because you were already keeping in touch with your customers, and I've been a customer, so I was getting texts from you, keeping us up to date with what was going on with the salon and with regulations and that. And then you did something, in my opinion, really, really clever to keep in touch with the other businesses in Witney. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about Share Witney and where that came from.
At the time, I don't think it was me trying to be clever. But, something dear to my heart is just looking out for people. Obviously, when I was busy for 3 years doing this place, you do neglect people around you. You do neglect other businesses. And it's a time when, people do need to stick together. We grow as a team, or we sink solo. So, case in point going forward, I think people are more aware of what other businesses can do for them. Which is what I've obviously speaking to you and what people have told me about what Share Witney is. It's a case of just looking out for each other. So, I don't think it was me being clever. It now appears clever, but I think, as a hair professional, I look out for people on a daily basis. You walk the little old lady to the car, you're doing stuff like that on a daily basis. So if I can, help people on social media with the skills that I've learned building a business, I did keep the business and I still have kept it separate to Share Witney. But, I've gone back to those skills I learned in the first part of VMV's history of growing a business. I can use that to grow a social media platform.
And so I live in a small town called Witney. I probably ought to explain that. You live in a little village just outside Witney, but your salon is right in the heart of Witney. Just because we haven't done that, but just explain exactly what Share Witney actually is.
So Share Witney is a platform for businesses to advertise. When I say advertise, I don't really like using the word advertise. So what I try and do on there's a Facebook page and an Instagram page. It's understanding why businesses do what they do, which, I think is the key to most marketing is helping customers understand what you're there for, but only what. It's obviously the why. So, I try and write about the owners rather than about the products they sell. So people understand, there are people who are struggling or who are doing it for the love and just need that step up, really, so people can see them. So yeah, it's a social media platform where people can shop local easier and, businesses can advertise for free.
And so anyone, and there will be quite a few actually, watching or listening to this from Witney or West Oxfordshire, anyone who runs a business or small enterprise or anything like that can go and take a look at Share Witney, and I presume can get in touch with you if they think they'd like you to feature some of their stuff. Is that sort of how it works?
Yeah, definitely. It all goes down in the DMs. So yeah, DM. I obviously give a brief outline to what I'm looking for and how best to benefit their business. A lot of people, and I find especially new people into business, ours, myself, I did this myself. Telling people what you do when I'm a hairdresser. That's sort of covered in one word. I know you talk about your 40 and 60 seconds. Rather than spending 40 seconds talking about how I'm a hairdresser, it's probably better to talk about why I'm a hairdresser. That's what attracts people to the salon and attracts people to get their haircut here. So I think when it comes to advertising or helping small businesses, it's when I sort of ask them the question of, can you talk about why you do what you do? They sometimes struggle because, in their eyes, they look at advertiser magazines and it's, buy these windows here. This is the price. People, buy on price. And so, definitely, sorry, long-winded answer, but, definitely drop a DM and, I'll help as much as I can in terms of advertising your business in the right way.
And because I looked at it, Share Witney, so people can find share.witney on Instagram and Share Witney on Facebook as well. Just go and search for it. But I looked at it and I thought, wow, Adam's being really clever there. And then I got in touch with you because Gary Vaynerchuk, who we've both spent quite a lot of time watching his YouTubes and that sort of thing, talks about being the host of the party, so that you've created Share Witney. So instead of you selling your services to other people, you're saying to other people, I've got something of value, come to me. But the absolutely lovely thing is that that's not why you did it. You had time on your hands and wanted to work out what you could do to promote other people. And I absolutely love that about it. And you've gone really, really above and beyond, because I've seen you do beautiful video compositions, for example. I'm interviewing Paul Spink of Fat Lils as part of this, but like, you've done a beautiful video composition of his shop now. That sort of thing's far more than I've seen other people do before.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is you've got to be proactive. It's okay just sharing the I hate to say, but boring posts. You've got to engage people. That's what social media is about, is engaging people to want to have a look at your stuff and a reason for them to follow. If you just post something that they can just easily think, oh, okay, that's nice, it's quite a big thing for someone to follow your page. So, what I try and do with those pieces is bring people to the page who aren't there to be sold to. There's two aspects of it. That's and also when you look into the hashtags, #Witney, those posts, do get a fair few likes. I think, roughly about 150 for those, the videos, or, a few of the drone videos I've done in shots of Witney. And that brings people in who are interested in Witney, and it makes it less salesy. It's not buy from these people. It's a case of, this is beautiful Witney. These are beautiful businesses that are in Witney, and, they go hand in hand.
I think it's I know this isn't why you did it, but it's a really intelligent approach where you're not trying to sell us something to other businesses. You're giving other businesses real value. I talk about being the first to provide value, and yet at the same time, as a direct result of that relationship, they will know that Adam Burgess exists and that Verve Virtue exists, because you can't have that conversation without people saying to you, oh, so what do you do? And so it's just, in a really subtle way, spreading the news that Verve Virtue exists, in an entirely positive way, without actually trying to sell it to people. And I'll come on and ask the question in a moment, but I'm sure you'll expand in future and will have more capacity and that sort of thing. And people who've seen Share Witney, whether they are businesses who have used it to promote themselves or just people in Witney who've taken a look at it, it just gives a really positive, warm glow around you and Verve Virtue. That's what I thought about it. I really like that side of it.
Yeah, to add more to that is, I am getting something from it. I'm developing my skills in photography, which I enjoy, flying my drone, which I nearly, landed on you and Sharon the other day. But, so these video compositions is me adding to my skill set. I obviously make videos for the salon, little snippets and stuff to encourage people to come here, but also like the social side, interacting with people, how to grow an Instagram account, which, I've had a few messages, people ask me, how did I do it? And, for me, it's just a case of, I just use the social media, just be social and do things for people, go that step further, really. In terms of, I like, thanks for calling me clever, which, but in terms of, I am getting something from it myself, but it's that I'm getting the giving, and that's the reward for me.
You look, you are clever. You've grown a bricks and mortar business from nothing to successful in 3 years before you had to put it on hold. And the fact that you've still survived over lockdown and will come back, and we've bumped into one of your stylists, Verity, today, and she's looking forward to coming back. I think that's what she said. I think the fact that you've survived,
You never know.
the fact that you've survived all the way through that is incredible. It makes it clever, because you literally could have just sat back and done nothing during lockdown, but you've chosen to do this very positive thing, and that sort of leads me to something that I've thrown at everyone else that I've interviewed so far. Is, what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs, other business owners, other people who've, whether this is because of lockdown or a future crisis, that through no fault of their own, things are forced to pause for a while? What advice would you give other businesses when everything hits the fan?
It's a complicated question, but ultimately the advice I give is when you obviously, at the moment I can't do anything for my business, so there's nothing I can do. There's nothing anything that I can do that will change it. I've already painted it. It already looks pretty good. It's a case of it's time for me to do things for other people. I did a website for a local company, a friend, Soulcast Stone, and I'm helping people on their social medias, different things like that. A friend of mine, Dan's doing volunteer talks, something similar to Share Witney, but talking to charities. Made him a little intro video. And it's time that I've got to give to other people, which I haven't before. I've learned skills over 3-4 years of having V&V, and you realize after those years you acquire skills. So all I'd say is, if you can't do anything to benefit your business, there's no reason why you can't benefit others. And if that comes back to help you in the future, then great. But obviously, when you look at Gary V's, I've never read the book. I've only sort of heard snippets, and it's the jab hook. At the moment, you could say I'm jabbing. I'm just speaking to different people. But ultimately, in the future, if I need anything in return, then maybe a free pack of biscuits for a Mother's Day present. Not that as the hint, but you never know. If you don't ask, you don't get.
It's coming up soon, actually. So, time for a little commercial break. What next for Verve Virtue then, if you've got anything you want to share? Because people are going to want to get back to hairdressers. You're already full there. Have you got plans for expansion or anything like that in future?
Yeah, a few things I was working on before lockdown didn't come off. Working with a local place that people obviously have heard rumours. So I can't go into too much detail, but it just didn't work out. And I'd love to expand, but obviously it's got to be the right time. And ultimately in hairdressing, it's the right people. It's a people business, and if you haven't got the right people, it's not going to grow. So yes, we have grown for V&V, but a lot of it is employing the right people. But yeah, future plans, add more value to the customers. What can I give the customers that I already have more? And that will obviously reward you in the future anyway. But yeah, let's see where the time takes us. Obviously, we'd all love to grow and have more staff, but I don't know if that's the dream or not. Maybe I need to sort of think about it a bit more, but ultimately, look after the clients I've already got.
Well, you do a brilliant job of that. My, as you know, my son, who's now 17 and busy doing his A-levels, I know you utterly changed his approach from, I guess he was 14 when I started coming to see you and started bringing patch in, but you utterly changed his view of hairdressers and so on to something that he now really enjoys coming to you for when he can. He's got very long hair now, actually, Patch.
I can imagine.
When we can get back, he'll come and see you again. And so where can people find you? Where can people find Verve and Virtue? Where can people find Share Witney? So that if anyone listening to this or watching this wants to connect with you, where can they do so?
Yeah, obviously social media channels for Verve and Virtue. It's Verve and Virtue on Instagram and Facebook, or Google. It's a very unusual name, so it normally comes up top of the list. And obviously for Share Witney, it's share.witney on Instagram, and it's just Share Witney as a group on Facebook.
I'm still really impressed with everything you're doing. Thanks for coming all the way into Witney and doing this this afternoon. I know I've talked to you about it. I know I've talked to you about it, like when we've bumped into each other in town and in the occasional phone call and that sort of thing. But I've genuinely enjoyed hearing your motivation behind it this afternoon, which we hadn't particularly talked about. So, Adam Burgess from Verve and Virtue in Corn Street, Witney. Thank you ever so much for your time this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
You're welcome, mate. Take care.